Ananya, like we mentioned, Donald J. Trump did declare his victory and has won the U.S. presidency, crossing the 270 electoral vote mark. Trump made a victory speech before a jubilant crowd at his campaign headquarters in Florida.
Absolutely, and thanking American voters for the strong mandate.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends in this incredible movement.
Trump's speech capped his stunning political comeback to secure a second term as the 47th president of the U.S., despite predictions in 2021 that his political career has come to an end. Trump has defied the odds, riding a wave of conservative support to return to the White House. It's only the second time that anyone has ever returned to the White House after previously losing a presidential re-election bid. Results, which are still pouring in, indicate that Trump has defeated Democrat Kamala Harris, securing a decisive mandate and proving many pollsters wrong.
And in addition to having won the battleground states of North Carolina, I love these places, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, we are now winning in Michigan, Arizona, Nevada, and Alaska, which would result in us carrying at least 315 electoral votes. But
Trump's impressive victories for the Republicans in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia, 3 of the 7 critical swing states, underscored his broad appeal across diverse voter groups. Trump had a whack of praise for his deputy, J.D. Vance, and his family, who joined him on the podium. He also thanked Elon Musk, applauding the tech leader's accomplishment with SpaceX, with noting the surge in Tesla stocks.
The reason we can now send American astronauts into space. Oh, let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon. Now he is. Now he's an amazing guy. We were sitting together tonight. You know, he spent 2 weeks in Philadelphia and different parts of Pennsylvania campaigning. You know, he sent the rocket up 2 weeks ago, and I saw that rocket, and I saw it coming down. I saw it. It was, when it left, it was beautiful, shiny white. When it came down, it didn't look so pretty. It was going 10,000 miles an hour, and it was burning like hell. Was that you? He said, yes, it was. I said, who else can do that? Can Russia do it? No. Can China do it? No. Can the United States do it other than you? No. Nobody can do that. I said, that's why I love you, Elon. That's great.
As congratulatory messages poured in from around the world, Democratic candidate Kamala Harris is yet to concede defeat, with her supporters saying they're still keeping faith. She's expected to address her supporters who gathered at her alma mater, Howard University in Washington, D.C.
All right, now let's tell you where the race stands as of now. Donald Trump has been declared the victor because he has crossed the 270 winning mark, as you can see here. He is at 277 and Harris is at 224. That, of course, makes Donald J. Trump the 47th president of the United States. But as my colleague Eric was pointing out, there are still a few states that still haven't been called, and we are following Associated Press very closely. Quickly, if I can just tell you what's happening out here. Now, this is the United States, America's map, and as of now, we have Nevada, Arizona, that is Alaska, and out here, Maine, and also Wisconsin. Now, these are the states that haven't been called yet. Now, I would like to quickly point out Alaska gives 3 electors to the House, and it has been traditionally a red camp. In fact, since the year 1976, Alaska has always voted for the Republicans. So this is a sure shot Republicans, and they are also leading here. So that hasn't been called, but that is definitely going to the red camp. Coming to the Maine, a similar story. the Democrats have been in power in Maine for quite some time, and Democrats are already leading here, but Associated Press hasn't called the race. So those are the two places. Now, before I come to the swing states, we need to understand that there are 7 of them. On the western coast, there's Nevada and Arizona. 2 of them haven't been called. Coming to the eastern side, Wisconsin is one state that hasn't been called. But, this is where it gets interesting. Wisconsin and Pennsylvania and North Carolina and Georgia, pardon me on that, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina and Georgia, these are the 4 states that have been called in favor of the red camp. Nevada, Arizona and Michigan, these are the 3 states that haven't been called. This is the Michigan state, and these are the 3 battleground states that haven't been called yet. But as you can see, Wisconsin, Nevada and Arizona, Donald Trump is leading. Now quickly, if you can pull out the 2020 battleground states versus the 2024 battleground states. And this is where it gets even more interesting. If you can see here, this is the 2020 map where Joe Biden was fighting against Donald Trump. And of course, Joe Biden then went on to become the 46th president of the United States. But interestingly, North Carolina was the only swing state at that point of time that Donald Trump made actually red. Apart from that, Joe Biden won, especially this belt that you see that's famously called the blue wall. That's Wisconsin, Michigan and Pennsylvania. These are the 3 walls that he flipped from Donald Trump in 2016. In 2020, Joe Biden flipped these 3 and also took Nevada and Arizona and Georgia. Now, if you quickly come here, as of now, Nevada and Arizona, 2 states that were blue back in 2020, are currently Donald Trump is leading in these 2 states. Now, Nevada brings in 6 electoral votes and Arizona brings in 11 electoral votes. So Donald Trump is slated to win here, but we're not calling the race as of now. We are yet to get some confirmation on that. Now here, Michigan is the only state that hasn't been called, but as you can see, this is also a state where Donald Trump is leading. Again, if I can quickly pull, in 2020, Joe Biden managed to flip this. Now, coming to this, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and North Carolina and Georgia. Now, these are the 4 states where Donald Trump have managed to flip from blue to red. Now, Pennsylvania, as we kept telling you, is the most important battleground state. It brought 19 electors. 19 electors in a map like this makes a hell of a difference, and that is what we are seeing playing out. It is 277, and Donald Trump, hence, has been called the next president rather, of the United States.
Ananya, thank you very much for that update. And yes, some of the states have turned red as we are speaking, and that's why Donald Trump has surpassed the 270 threshold. He has 277 electoral votes. Now we'll have to wait for the final clarification and the final call so that we see if formally Donald Trump will be declared the president or the 47th president of the United States of America. Let's talk to our correspondent, Sidhan Sibol, who is joining us live from Washington, D.C. Sidhan Sibol, it's dawn in America. I don't know how people are celebrating the victory of Donald Trump where you are. Probably you can give us a mood or a sense of how people are receiving this news that Donald Trump is going back to the White House.
Well, Eric, it is approximately 7:43 a.m. here local time, and it will be a long day politically. It was a long day and night yesterday as well, and essentially it's now clear that Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. Now, the mood on the ground we'll get to know as we speak to more and more people, but the fact that there is a mandate for Donald Trump shows that people supported him, whether it's the white American male, whether it is the African American male, and of course he was able to get the Democrats' vote towards himself. He's not only crossed the 270 mark in terms of the Electoral College, but also exceeded that. That, of course, is a positive news for Trump. Now, under Trump presidency, focus will be on many things. He has promised many things when it comes to America, which includes cutting out on taxes, reducing inflation. But it's the foreign policy that dominates the agenda. Globally, we have seen congratulations pouring in, including, of course, the Indian Prime Minister becoming one of the first leaders to congratulate him on his election victory. And he, of course, tweeted a picture as well, which was from the Howdy Modi event of 2019. It was in that event that the Indian Prime Minister gave a slogan called Ab Ki Baar Trump Sarkar. That means this time around it will be Trump government. It looks like this time it has happened, and essentially India will be looking forward to a fruitful relationship with US. The nominee now, of course, the presidential candidate has talked about his good relationship with India and Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Right. Siddhant, talk to us a little about the kind of policy that the Republican duo is promising.
When it comes to India, the nominee of the Republican, which is Donald Trump, talked about his good relationship with Prime Minister Narendra Modi and with India. But he also termed India as tariff king. Now, that can be a big worry because that means he is likely to impose more tariffs on India. And that means some kind of trade tiff between the United States and India. He has been quoting many examples, including the Harley-Davidson example as well, saying that India used to impose a lot of tariff, but now Harley-Davidson, he claimed that has been able to get access because of him. Now, we need to also understand Elon Musk, which he said during his victory speech as the rising star. Now, Elon Musk, at the end of the day, is a businessman. He has many business interests, whether it's Starlink or other, and he will be looking India as a big market. Of course, we know that Tesla products going into Indian market has been a big discussion that has been happening for some time now. In fact, Elon Musk had to come to India earlier this year, but he had cancelled that. So what happens when it comes to Elon Musk's India interest, Donald Trump's presidency, and India, which is a big market? We need to watch this space.
Siddhant Sabol, you have been speaking to people of diverse communities, diverse places. You recently spoke to what we are calling the minority community in the United States, and you did indicate that they are vouching for Trump. They must be excited by now. I'm sure you've talked to some of them. What are they saying?
Well, the Indian American, they form a minority community, but they are politically very visible, whether it's Kamala Devi Harris, whether it is Usha Vance. In fact, Usha Vance was the only Indian American to be present on that stage where Donald Trump made that famous speech, the victory speech in Florida. Now, essentially, we have been speaking to many Indian Americans. They have been traditionally voting the Democrats, that is Kamala Harris's party. But this time it looks like things change because many of them were not very happy with Kamala Harris, her policies, and the fact that she has not been very vocal about her Indianness. And they were very happy about Trump for two key reasons. One is the issue of immigration. They said that they came to this country legally through hard work. But now they see illegal immigrants coming and they're being supported by the government using their tax money. And that was a worry for them. Another, they always thought that when Kamala Harris comes, she has many socialist policies, promises she made. Who is going to fund that? And it's the Indian Americans, they believe, will be funding that because they are the most affluent communities of this country and one of the highest taxpayers as well. The third, of course, the male Indian American voter, because they in fact, he saw the Indian American voter, the male Indian American voter, as Trump as someone who can give tax breaks, and that is something that is being seen very positively. So there are several reasons as to why it looks like the minority community here, whether it's the Indian Americans, whether it's the Hispanics. In fact, many Latinos have voted for Trump. Many African Americans have voted for Trump. So that is the rainbow coalition that led to Trump's decisive victory, a comeback.
All right, that is our correspondent Siddhant Sabol live in Washington, D.C. Thank you, Siddhant Sabol. Ananya.
Absolutely, Eric. And to get us some perspective, we're also being joined by Erica Savage, a political commentator, joining us live from Washington, D.C. Thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
We have a lot of post-mortem to do about what happened, what went wrong, what went right, and what happens here on. But let me put you on the spot and ask you, at what point do you think Kamala Harris lost this election?
Well, I've been up for the past 10 hours doing election coverage here in the United States in Washington, D.C., just a stone's throw away from the White House. And, definitely a lot of people fired up. As you all well know, Vice President Kamala Harris had a watch party that she was hosting, many of the donors as well, on her alma mater of Howard University here in the heart of Washington, D.C. And as we started to see some of the polling come in, it was abundantly clear after a couple of hours, particularly after we saw North Carolina come in. North Carolina saw a surge of over 500,000 women registered to vote, outperforming men, but not really understanding that if those women would be voting based on body autonomy, if these women would be voting based on not to ensure that somebody who is a multiple time felon, convicted sexual assaulter, who has been blasphemous towards women would actually be into office. But as we did see, North Carolina is ruby red. So some of the exit polling is showing us that, in fact, a lot of the states that Biden won handsomely by 10 or 13 points were not states that the Harris-Walz campaign was able to maintain, or that they were able to maintain a substantial lead victory. So it was when we saw North Carolina at that time, we began to become worried. But I do want to say something with regard to what your correspondent said, because this is a narrative that has been floating around, particularly around Black voters and Black men voters, that the coalition that he mentioned was comprised of Black men, that Black men are the number 2 voting bloc in the Democratic Party, right behind the number 1 voting bloc, which is Black women. And what we saw overall, but particularly in places like New Jersey, in specific counties, in some counties in New York, and across the map, swing states and elsewhere, is that Hispanic Latino men voters turned out for Donald Trump. There was a message that resonated there that you all did say specifically, that was around the economy, that was around the working class, but also looking at that voting bloc is very diverse in and on its face, and that there is this thought process around coming into America the right way.
Absolutely, it does seem so. Eric, I'm completely out of time. I wish we had more time with you. Good to speak to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on WION.
Thank you for having me.